So, where do I even begin? I know a lot of people love hearing updates on the cottage, so I have a few like sort of funny ones. So it was actually last Easter weekend that I moved back into the cottage after having sort of time out of it because I had a lot of building work done. There are a few occasions where builders were coming in where I was, in my pajamas, which wasn't the nicest. And then I just ran out. I didn't have a toilet and I didn't really fancy, weeing in some sort of pot. So I decided, you know what? Going back to mum and dad since, my bed was still kind of set up there. So it feels really good to be back. I just find it so peaceful having a little place to myself. I've been really good at trying to like switch off while I'm there. So that means that I've actually like rearranged my phone and all my apps. So I have like all of my social media or work apps in if you have an iPhone, you'll know what I mean, but in like a little box, and I have it like on the furthest swiped away one, because I don't know what it is. I feel like if I'm just waiting for something, or every now and again, I'll just like check Instagram, and that's kind of like a habit that I want to get out of, especially when I'm not working. Like I'm not going to go and like check comments or check how my post's doing and stuff like that. So that I feel really refreshed. And also when I like come to the horses and do work, I feel more focused as well, having sort of the time where I'm switched on and switched off, if that makes sense. So that's been really lovely. I've really been enjoying sort of like learning to cook, that kind of thing, now I'm moved out. I made a halloumi burger the other day. That was really good. So it was actually a recipe that I found online, and basically you cook the halloumi in sweet chili kind of sauce. And oh my goodness, it tastes so good because it goes all caramelised, and obviously the sweet chili kind of flavourings go into the halloumi. So would recommend that if you're looking for a quick dinner to make, especially if you're on your own. That's one thing, like it's quite good. Like if I do like a bulk food, then I'll make sure that I have stuff for leftovers if I'm a little bit busier, because that's the one thing I've realised. It makes me realise how long like I work till. Like I will kind of like, I don't know, I kind of try and get to the yard early and then I leave pretty late, but no. Anyway, on to the funny stories about the cottage. So first off, the cottage has been infested again. Don't worry, it's not carpet moth this time like last time. I've actually got some ant friends at the moment. Now, I don't actually know where these ants are coming from. I've kind of looked around. It's not from the fruit bowl. It's not from, I have like a little baking drawer which has all my like sugar and, I don't know, baking things like flour. They're not from there, so I've had a little look around. Still don't know where they're coming from. Maybe it's something in the local area, because my parents, they've got a few ants in their house, not as many as I do. I have like a full-on colony. I don't really know how to get rid of ants. I feel mean getting rid of them because they've obviously got like a big family and things, but I'm going to have to try and think of something for the ant situation at the moment, because it's like every now and again I'm just cooking and I'm like, oh, what's that? And it's just like a little ant crawling along and I'm like, oh, anyway, I'm not like scared of insects at all, but you probably don't want ants eating your food and being in your fruit bowl. But anyway, moving on. The next thing that's been a little bit interesting while I've been at the cottage, I was talking to my boyfriend about this, but I don't think I've actually really told anyone about this. It's like, I thought, I might have actually, I don't actually know the situation because I was quite tired. Like, it was the end of the day, I was at the cottage, and I don't have any curtains yet in my bedroom, and I actually remember the first time I realised what curtains were like properly for, like for privacy, was on a year 6 trip. Now, I don't know if any other like primary schools in the UK, I feel like it's quite common to do a trip to some sort of adventure place. So we went to PGL, and I was in year 6, and I've lived my whole life in the middle of the countryside. I used to actually tell my friends at school, they'll be like, oh, like my neighbour has a really cute dog, or like they just like bring up their neighbours for some reason, and I'd always be like, oh, well, my neighbours are cows, and they always thought that I was being really rude because I'd be like, oh, my neighbours are cows, but literally our old house was just surrounded by cows. We're in like the middle of a farm, so there we go. Not our farm, but the kind of field was opposite. And then my parents' house that we now kind of live in, we moved into when I was about 16, I think, back in 2017. Anyway, my only neighbours are my grandparents that live next door. And actually, my bedroom / my loft that was at my parents', soon to be the office, I'm quite excited to do that up, that doesn't have like windows. It has Velluxes, so didn't really have to worry about flashing anyone when I was getting changed then either, to be honest. But yeah, back in my like house growing up when I was a kid, didn't never shut my blinds or my curtains when I was getting changed because who was going to look at me? Daisy the cow. Actually, it was quite funny. In that bedroom, I would in the summer, if you had the windows open, you could hear the cows sometimes mooing, some normally eating, but every now and again you just like wake up in the morning and there would just be this cow right outside the window and you could hear this big squelch as it was having its morning poo. But there we go. Me and my family sometimes joke about that. We're like, oh, we sometimes miss, the cows doing morning poos. You just, it's part of your morning soundtrack. Anyway, moving away from morning poos, onto something also embarrassing. So anyway, PGL trip, year 6, didn't realise about closing curtains, and we'd just done some sort of activity. I think I'd either got really sweaty, really muddy, or just like wet in some place, maybe from like a lake or a river or something. So I was like, as soon as we got into our cabin that we were in, we had like bunk beds. I was like, okay, first thing to do, quickly like have a shower, get changed. So anyway, I was getting naked or stripping off to, put my pajamas on because it was the end of the day, everyone was getting ready for bed, that kind of thing. My year 6 teacher walked past, looked me dead in the eyes as, I was bare-chested. And then that's when I realised that is why people use curtains. It's not to just, block the sun out so you can go to sleep. So people don't look at you while you're naked. So you'd think I would learn. Anyway, back to present day Esme. Very, very tired. Brain isn't quite working. Almost half asleep. I was getting changed in my bedroom. And I forgot, because obviously, I didn't really get into the routine of, shutting my curtains because I don't have any curtains or a blind in that room at the moment. I was getting changed, and that's when I realised that I could see my neighbour's car parked, and the door, like the front door of his truck was open, and I was like, oh, like, because obviously, I mean, hopefully he didn't, if he was there, he didn't see me because I was higher up, like, hopefully he shouldn't be looking through my windows. But yeah, I was, getting my pajamas on, looking out the window, just kind of like absent-minded, just not really thinking anything. And that's when I was like, oh my goodness. Like, I can't actually remember because I was so tired and / not really with it. I don't know if the security light went on and that's what made me realise, oh my goodness, somebody's going to see me naked. Or, but the thing is, the reason why I think maybe not was because the next morning I woke up, looked through my window, and his door was still open. So I think my neighbour might have accidentally left his truck door open all night, or he thought, oh no, I've accidentally seen me naked. I'm going to just leave the door open so she doesn't actually know. Who would really think that? Who would actually do that? So I'm going to hope that he just accidentally left the door open and wasn't there. But that was quite embarrassing. Something else that I've been getting used to. I feel like this isn't even like that embarrassing, but I've been very good at like remembering to put the bins out, that kind of thing, getting into that sort of routine. But I don't know why it just feels embarrassing putting the bins out because I have to walk past all my neighbour's house because I haven't really talked about the cottage that much in the sense of like where it is, but it's because I don't want people finding out where I live. Like that was one thing that I really had to think about when buying my first house, was it has to be somewhere that people can't find me because of my job. So you can't actually see my house from the road like at all. Like it's down like a long driveway in the middle of the woods. So that's really good. But my neighbours' houses are kind of in the woods with me, so I have to walk past all my neighbours' houses, and I get up quite early. So when I have to put the bins out, I put them out really early in the morning. And when I'm going along, or it's like quite late when I get back from work, and when I go along, you can just hear the bum, 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 on the gravel driveway of these bins, and I feel like it's just so noisy, and I always feel so bad in case like I wake up my neighbours or disturb them at all. So I don't know, I felt like I give myself the ick in that sense, if you know what I mean, just putting the bins out. Don't know, just one of those things. Talking about giving yourself the ick, I did something where I was like, I felt like if anybody else did this, I'd be like, that is just so embarrassing. So I was at a shopping centre, and our local shopping centre is one of those ones where, you know, the number plate kind of recognition thing, normally it recognises your number plate, but I'd say it's probably about 50-50 if it recognises your number plate or not. Anyway, I went up to, like, go out of the shopping centre kind of multi-storey car park, and the barriers didn't go up, and I was like, oh no, I'm gonna have to find my ticket. Luckily, I was prepared in the sense that I had my ticket with me, because there has been one time before. Luckily, there was nobody behind me, because if not, that would have really stressed me out, having like a car behind me and then them being like, oh my goodness, this girl has got to go and get a ticket out of her boot, out of her handbag kind of thing. Anyway, had the ticket with me, and then I realised so I put down the window, couldn't reach, had to take my seatbelt off, still couldn't reach, because I was so far away from the ticket machine, I had to literally open the door, get out, put the ticket in. Again, luckily nobody was behind me, because that would stress me out. But I feel like anybody else, like, there's that trend, like if a guy does something that would give you the ick. I feel like that is a new ick unlocked. So but anyway, that's something kind of embarrassing that I did. It's not even that embarrassing, but yeah, there we go. Also, I've just realised I haven't told you guys this, but you can probably tell by my voice that I am feeling a lot better after having my cold. My last 2 podcasts I actually filmed on the same day, and that was when I was kind of telling you guys like why I'd missed one, because I'd just been so poorly. I mean, I think I've just got over it now. I think for 2 weeks I was properly ill, and then a week after that I was still just kind of like a little bit bunged up, a little bit snotty, which is a bit horrible to say, but I'm feeling great now, which is awesome. Talking about things that are quite great and good is the chickens. A lot of you always ask for like a chicken update. So the chickens, we call it like I don't really know, like, we call it free range day. Now, if you don't know what that is, basically in the UK at the moment, bird flu is really, really bad. So if you have any birds that are sort of kept outside, so chickens, geese, ducks, that kind of thing, they have to be shut in over the winter, which I just think is so, so sad. Like, we've been giving them lots of enrichment toys and hanging up lettuce and things like that to try and keep them happy and occupied. So not only did I have, Joey on box rest, but the chickens had to be a little bit more shut in. They couldn't just run around the farm. But no, they're doing really well now. They've had their free range day, so they're now out, which is incredible. But yeah, apparently that's like all the chickens or all the kind of animal kept birds in the UK have to all be shut in. So the other day it was release day and they were so happy. They were kind of like bobbing along. I feel like the chickens are most happy kind of in the spring, summer, because their favourite thing, well, especially my chickens, is dust bathing. So especially when like the ground dries up, we're on clay, so we pretty much go from, I've said this before on a podcast, but we pretty much go from slush or like muddy, like things that Peppa Pig would love, basically really, really muddy, to just concrete. Like, it dries up so quickly, so as soon as it's dry, the chicken's going to be happy because they can have their dust baths. A lot of people are wondering how many chickens we have. We actually used to have 4. So for my 18th birthday, actually, I feel like this really goes to show the sort of person I am. For my 18th birthday, my parents were like, okay, what would you like for your birthday? It's a big one, you're becoming an adult, like, this is the last time we're going to kind of get you like I was going to say a big present, but you know what I mean. And they were like, would you like a nice piece of jewellery? Like the sort of normal stuff people would ask for an 18th birthday. And I just said, I really hope it's not too much and that kind of thing, but I'd really love to get some chickens. So, yeah, my parents bought me chickens for my 18th birthday. We had 4. I decided, I don't know why, I think it's because my birthday's not that far after Easter, and I was thinking about, like, chocolate eggs. So I decided to name all of my chickens after different chocolates. So we had Bounty, Milky Way, Mars, and Snickers. So unfortunately, Bounty passed away only after a year of us owning her. She became egg-bound, and when that kind of happens, it's just better to put them out of their misery. So poor Bounty, we lost back in 2019, I think, 2019, 2020. And then about a year later, again, very sad, I think maybe it was 2 years later, very sadly, Milky Way, or Milky, got egg-bound as well, which is really upsetting. So we only have the 2 chickens left. We have Snickers and we have Mars. They're both going strong and doing well. Snickers only has one eye. This sounds like I'm a really horrible, like, chicken keeper, but it's not due to any fault of my own. Like, they haven't been killed by a fox, and they're looked after really well. I think Snickers obviously just got in an accident. I don't know if she was trying it on with the other chickens, one of them pecked her in the eye. But so she's doing well. I mean, she can see with one eye. She's all good. But no, those two actually, they get along really well as a two. It was a little bit tricky when they were a three, but no, the chickens are really happy. I mean, they've been enjoying like my leftovers. I hate food waste, as I kind of was saying before. Like, I always eat my leftovers and that kind of thing. But if there's a few things where I bought a bunch of bananas and maybe there's one banana that's gone like completely brown, I'm like, I'm really weird. I like to eat bananas when they are still a little bit green, and everyone's like, why would you want it crunchy? But I don't know, I just feel like, I think that's how the bananas were when I was a kid at school. Like, I don't know if they still do this at primary schools in the UK, but for playtime at school, you would always get like a piece of fresh fruit for free, I'm pretty sure. So you would always be really excited if it was something like a little bit more exotic or different. Like if we got strawberries, that was the best day. Or if we got like cucumbers, that was always quite interesting. I feel like some people hated them, some people love them, but they were like little cucumbers as well. They were like pickled cucumbers. Anyway, back to the chickens. I keep going really off topic, but no, they're all doing really, really well. They're enjoying their freedom. They're enjoying running around, and enjoy some more chicken content coming soon. I posted a little story of them this morning eating a little bit of bit of my leftovers. Talking about updates, I thought I'd do a little Casper update because we took him on a big day out the other day. We took him to Team Touch'em, was a charity riding school that I'm a patron for. So we went and saw them because when I sold my old horse box, when we got our new one from Equito, I actually decided to give the money to 4 different charities, so the RDA, World Horse Welfare, Team Touch'em, and the Brook Charity. So I went there and saw what they used the money for, and they made it was really cool. They designed like a This Esme jump, and they had 3 different designs. I had to pick which one was my favourite, and they had it made kind of like into a jump, and they've been using that recently for like clear rounds and shows to raise money for the charity riding school, which has been amazing, because back last summer, actually, I filmed lots of different videos at different charity riding schools to try and raise awareness and to try and make equestrianism more accessible. So they're really lovely. They offer like riding lessons and things to people who maybe before wouldn't be able to for whatever reason. So that is really, really lovely. And also the other thing that they used the money for was a defibrillator. So not only can they use it, but also everyone kind of in the local community. So fingers crossed, it never has to be used, but good thing that it's there if it ever does have to. But anyway, Casper had a big day out. He has not been like to I was going to say like a party, that's how I'd describe it. He hasn't been like he's been out somewhere, like he's been to clear rounds and he's been to arena hires, and I've hacked him out loads. Like that is his favourite thing, going for a hack somewhere new. But I thought, you know what, it would be really lovely to take, as I'm going there, it would be really lovely to take him along. And I was not nervous, but a little bit wary to start with, in the sense that Casper is a very sensitive horse, and he's a very nervous horse as well, and he's very shy and very reserved. So I knew like he would be a good boy because like he's not malicious in any sense at all. But I wasn't sure what he was going to be like with that many horses all in one place, because back when I used to compete him, like his least favourite thing was probably the warm-up. He would just get a little bit overwhelmed in the warm-up, especially if it was really, really busy and there were lots of horses. I don't really know what his like past was like, but I know that he used to be bullied by other horses out in the field and things because he was the smallest one there. But anyway, so that's one of the reasons why I kind of stopped doing competing with him, because I could just tell, like when we were jumping and we were going out there, he absolutely loved it, but in the warm-ups and things he just would tense up quite a bit. It wasn't his favourite thing. But anyway, I decided to take him to the charity riding school. I knew that they had a really big arena, and I knew there wouldn't be like a ridiculous amount of horses in there. So anyway, I took him there, loaded him off the horse box. He had a good like look around, being like, wow, I'm somewhere new, let's check this place out. Led him into his stable, and it was so cute. They made like a little stable sign that said Casper on for him for the day, and there were probably about like 15-20 kids maybe that came and saw him in like a big group because they'd just finished their lesson, or they'd already done all their lessons that morning, those kind of kids. And I was like, I wasn't really too sure how friendly Casper would would be, because we have this kind of like saying that with Casper, he's like, you have to be in the Casper club to get like cuddles and attention from him, or for him to enjoy cuddles and attention from you. He used to be really, really head shy when we first got him. Like, I could not touch his ears, could not touch his face, could just about, get a bridle on him. But now he, like, we've done a lot of work and he trusts me, and I'm like his human, I'm his sort of safe place. So he had me with him there, and he was honestly so good with all these children. I feel like horses know when they need to be really gentle, and they know that they need to kind of like behave and be on their best behaviour. And he was honestly so sweet. I thought he was just going to go like into the corner, have some hay, not be like bothered by all the people, but actually he went straight up, he put his head over the stable door, he was enjoying all of the cuddles from all of the kids, and all of the like sort of strokes on his nose and pats and that kind of thing, and scratchies, and he was so sweet. And I was like, oh my goodness. Like, if anybody new kind of comes to the yard, that's for a photo shoot or filming, especially men, I think it's because these are all kind of like mainly like young girls and boys. So Casper was very much like, oh, you guys, like, I'll have the attention, I'll have some love. He was just so sweet. And then when it came to riding him, there was actually like one corner, like I feel like Casper does this. There's always like, if I go somewhere new, there's one corner where he's like, oh, not sure about that. That looks a little bit dodgy. I might have a little, little stare at that, might give it a little, piece of my mind. But no, he was actually so good. Because I did used to do pony club on him, and he was fine with that. I think it's just warm up arenas at shows because they're so busy and chaotic, like you never know who's going in what direction. But so I warmed him up, I gave him a little walk round, trot round, canter, made sure I had a good canter, because he is like a little bit of an older boy now. He does get quite stiff, so I do have to make sure that he's ready and warmed up, and once he's going, he feels and looks incredible. And obviously he has the physio very regularly to keep him happy and that kind of thing. But yeah, once he was warmed up, he was honestly so happy. I think he was really excited to make loads of friends, like all the sort of riding school ponies he wanted to come up to, and I was like, wow, who is this Casper? He is so friendly. And you know what? Like, normally with Duke, like, I wouldn't say okay, maybe Casper hates Duke. That's really mean. But Casper is a little bit wary of Duke, only because he hasn't warmed up to Duke yet. I mean, they're not in the stables next to each other or anything like that, so it's not like they see each other that much. Like, they can see each other from the fields, but they're not in fields exactly next to each other. But Casper, like, he just kind of, to be fair, if any of the horses came near him in his stable, he would pin his ears back and look like a right old grumpy boy. But I think it's just because he's quite protective of his own space. He's like, this is my personal bubble. You're getting a little bit too close now. Can you just like back it up, please? I'm giving you a warning. But actually, do you know what was so sweet? I was leading, literally the day after, I was leading Casper up to the field, and he pulled me, like, not in a mean way, but he was like, I kind of want to go over here. And he went over to Duke, and then he went and, like, nuzzled him over the fence. And I was like, excuse me, have I left the other Casper at the riding school and brought home, like, a new one? Because this is not my horse. Like, he was so friendly to Duke, and I think Casper's actually kind of realised, actually, I do quite enjoy making new friends. Like, he kept wanting to make friends with all the other ponies, so I think he's actually warmed up to Duke now. Like, to be fair, Casper used to hate Joey when Joey first came, would never be near him. In the field, it would always be Mickey and Joey next to each other, and then Casper would be like the other side. He'd be in his own little world. I mean, that's all right. He's a little bit of an introvert horse. I mean, I'm the same. I enjoy my little alone time in the cottage, like having peace and quiet and just chilling out. But yeah, then suddenly, that was one of the reasons why we got Mickey a little friend, being Duke, because Casper decided, you know what, actually, Joey, you're my bro, you're my homie, I want to be besties with you. So yeah, it was like over like a week, it went from Casper not liking Joey at all, to Casper like nuzzling Joey and then being best friends. And then poor little Mickey, because they were a trio, poor little Mickey would get kicked out, got kicked out of the friendship group. Casper and Joey were like, yeah, inseparable. So that was another reason why we got Mickey a little friend. Also, Mickey started to, like, he's just started not being able to keep up with the big boys in the field. Like, they'd run round, and poor little guy, his little legs, and being older, he just couldn't really catch up. And to be fair, one of the other reasons why I wanted to get Duke was I just really wanted to rehome a rescue pony. So Duke's from Wild Horse Welfare, if you didn't know. We've had him for, oh my goodness, we've had him for 2 years. 2 years in August. That has flown by. I mean, he does look quite different now. His mane is like a totally different colour. It went from like a flaxeny palomino-y kind of colour to jet black. So he's a grey, if you didn't know. But yeah, he looked very different. I mean, his body's getting a lot lighter. It's almost... I think he's going to go whiter than Joey, like faster, if that makes sense. To be fair, he is going on 2, going on 3. He'll be 3 in May, June. We know he's like a few... Like, World Horse Welfare took him in when he was only a few days old. And so we think he's either born end of May or beginning of June. That's why I always go May, June. So, yeah, there we go. Wild times. Also, talking about World Horse Welfare... I did another sort of wild thing, and basically I did something I was going to say it's probably the most controversial thing I've ever done. I don't think, nobody wants horses to be smuggled out of the UK and to be slaughtered, so that's what I was standing up for. I actually did a bit of a protest on horseback, all the way through London, actually, which was wild. And that was alongside World Horse Welfare. So that was to try and get the Kept Animals Bill through Parliament and to raise awareness for it. So we had all of our hashtags on our T-shirts and also our high visors that we were wearing that said hashtag Stop Horse Slaughter. So yeah, the horses were from Wimbledon Village Riding School or stables. And because one of the reasons was I don't think my horses would be quite suitable for riding through central London, especially Joey, who, poor guy, has been on box rest this whole time. He's only just like gone out and seen like his field, let alone seen the world. Like me taking him to busy central London, I think his brain would explode. So yeah, they very kindly supplied the horses that we were riding. My one was called Havana. She was so sweet, absolutely gorgeous, and didn't bat an eyelid at absolutely anything. So she was really, really lovely to ride. I also had Sarah Cox next to me from BBC Radio 2 Drive Time, if anybody knows her, or also like the TV. So that was pretty cool, being next to like a celebrity riding along. And so, no, it was really lovely to catch up with the World Horse Welfare team, chat to them. And yeah, and then once we got kind of used to our horses, we started off in Hyde Park, and there's actually a sand school arena in the middle of sort of Hyde Park. I know that Hyde Park stables sometimes use it. There was also like a little mountain block that said, I think it was like Hyde Park RDA. So I'm pretty sure that the RDA use it as well, which is really lovely. Another really awesome charity. But anyway, so we headed off into the road. We actually had the Met Police with us. They weren't part of the protest because they have to stay neutral politically and things, but they were at the front. So there was 2 riders or 2 police people on horses at the front, and then there were 2 at the back. So we basically said, look, we're going to do this protest. We're just going to let you know. Could you make sure that we're safe? So we rode along with them. They were really lovely. And so these police horses I have so much like admiration for, because this guy, literally, it was very wild because we, riding through central London, and then suddenly there would be like a road would need to cross or a roundabout or something like that. And this guy would just blow into the whistle, be like, stop, at all this traffic. And obviously all these taxis and cars and buses and things stopped, only for like a few minutes for us to cross. But that was wild. This horse just, went into just walking around, absolutely bomb-proof. And then there's Joey, who will spook at a daffodil because it wasn't there last week. Anyway, it was an incredible, incredible ride. Like, definitely like a ride of a lifetime. I will never, in the top 10 coolest things I've ever done. Like, we rode past Wellington Arch, we went down the Mall, we went past Buckingham Palace, which was crazy. They actually had all the, they were doing loads of stuff around there. They were putting loads of seating up because it's the King's coronation very soon. But yeah, I was like, oh, that's the bit from TV with all the flags and the red road. And you know, like there are some roads in London where it just like, or there is just some roads in general where it feels like illegal to drive on. Like me and my boyfriend had that the other day. We drove through Oxford Street because all the, this is quite a while ago actually. We went for like a little weekend away in London, but all the trains were on strike. So we drove through and I was like, wow, this feels weird driving on this road. Like this does not feel real. But that's how it felt like riding a horse on it. Like let alone like being in a car on like a, you know, famous road. We were on horseback. But yeah, we were going around. There were obviously loads of tourists because we were going past lots of touristy places. So it felt like, you know, we had the paparazzi on us. We had like people like taking photos and videos, which is great because hopefully they'll put it on their social medias and then everyone will see the hashtag on us and look at the hashtag and hopefully find out more about it. And then we went all the way to Parliament, which is next to Big Ben. So got a selfie on horseback past Big Ben, which was pretty wild. But yeah, we made a scene. We were like, you know, not shouting or anything. We were just kind of riding along. But obviously, if you're in the centre of London, it's probably not every day that you see a horse. Like there were probably some kids there that maybe have never seen a horse ever in their life. Like I had that once. I was hacking along the road and there was this like guy that I don't know if it was a delivery guy or a tradesman, but he was like, I think I was only a kid at the time. I was only on Casper as well. Like Casper's not a huge horse. He's technically a pony, but because his breed's a pony, but he's 15 hands-ish. And he just went, oh my goodness, is that a horse? They're way bigger than what they look like on TV, and that's always kind of stuck with me. Like I always find it so lovely, like showing horses to people who have never met them before or aren't equestrian. Anyway, so we're riding along on these horses, past Big Ben, past the Houses of Parliament, and yeah, it was just very surreal, very wild. And then we went to the little gardens next door to the Houses of Parliament, and we took a big photo with this big sort of screen up saying like stop horse smuggling, and then I did a little interview with the press and also with World Horse Welfare, and yeah, it was a really successful day. Hopefully we can get it through. So one of the reasons why I also wanted to talk about it in this podcast, if you haven't seen the video that's already up that went out this Friday, please go onto the World Horse Welfare website. There's a link where if you're a UK resident you can sign a petition to try and get it through Parliament, and also there's a link where you can donate. World Horse Welfare is a really, really awesome charity. They're the reason that Duke is probably still with us. If you didn't know his story, he was taken in at a few days old where he was abandoned, no mum in sight. They had to bottle feed him, give him around the clock care. Luckily he pulled through, and there are so many other horses like Duke out there that either need rehoming or need World Horse Welfare's help and rehabilitation, and basically just need a really lovely and happy life after the suffering that they've been through. So anyway, please check out World Horse Welfare if you can. That would be awesome. But yeah, that was my incredibly wild big day out in London, and I was very, very grateful for them for inviting me and for being part of it all. There were so many awesome people that were part of the ride to Parliament, and yeah, just a fantastic day. Before I wrap up things, I thought I'd give you a little update on how Joey is doing. That's one of the questions that I probably get asked most by people, especially when I was doing my book tour. It was so lovely also. Thank you so much to everyone who came to my book tour. My last one was last week. That was in Blue Water, which was awesome. The tickets for it sold out like so quickly, so thank you so much to everyone that came. I was there for probably just under 3 hours, seeing everyone, chatting, and probably my fault because I was chatting for quite a bit. I've got to say, my book tour is probably one of my favourite sort of meet and greets I've ever done, just because it's all ticketed, so I know how many people that I'm seeing and that kind of thing, and I get to give more time to everybody because also I take quite a while signing everything and making sure I do it as neatly as I possibly can. And it was just so nice. I got chatting to a lot of people. Like, it was so lovely having conversations with you guys, just chatting about things. But a lot of people also very kindly asked me, like, how's Joey doing? So I thought I'd do a Joey update. Joey is doing really well, thank you. Like, as I said before, he's fully healed now, so we're just kind of trying to get him fit again. Actually, yesterday I gave him a bit of a pamper session, a bit of a makeover, because he definitely needs it. He hasn't had like a full-on, like, he's had like mini baths, but he hasn't like a full-on bath, like tail wash. I trimmed his mane, so he's looking a lot smarter now. It was so funny because my instructor Felicity, she said when she first saw him after I took him, after he'd finished box rest and I had my first lesson, like first ride back, she was like, girl, he looks like a broodmare. He had like this, he has this, well, he had at the time, it's now gone. He's got like a new haircut now, but he had this really long mane and big old belly from all of the haylage and things he's had on box rest, and probably all the extra treats as well, because that was the one thing that got him through it. Oh my goodness, that boy is food orientated. But no, so he's not looking like a broodmare anymore. He's probably still got a little bit of a belly, let's be honest. But no, he's looking so much smarter now. I feel like with the grey horse, a tail wash really does transform them. I even went full out there. I put some black hoof oil on him so his toes were looking all sparkly and nice. And I was like, oh my goodness, he's a sports horse again. He looks so smart. So yeah, I felt like a little proud mum after that. But also, something very exciting is that I've brought him back into show jumping. Now, again, we've done this all at his own pace. I feel like whenever I mention like Joey updates, there's going to be people that are like, he's fully healed now. The vets have said everything's okay. The physio said everything okay. You've got like a 5-star eventer as your instructor. Like, stop babying him. And then there are going to be other people that are like, oh my goodness, you're rushing him too much. Like, but yeah, anyway, everything's all good. We've checked everything over with professionals, and we're finally getting back into jumping again. Did a little cross pole. Actually, one of the jumps that he did do, bless him, oh my goodness, he felt like I was jumping a 3-legged horse. Like, he went over a jump and he left a leg. I think he was just like a little bit, he felt like a little green baby again, like when I first got him as a 5-year-old. But no, he's getting so much better. Like, he's picked everything up so quickly. I mean, he was a ridden horse for like 3 years before he had his accident, but anyway, no, he's doing really, really well. He just taking everything in his stride. We obviously did loads of pole work before to build his muscles up, to get him kind of lifting his legs up and things. So we started off just doing poles, and then we gradually built them up. But no, yesterday we did a full-on course, so be sure to keep your eyes peeled for a new video of me showing the whole process of me bringing Joey back into jumping again, because that has been very, very exciting. We're definitely not, jumping a metre 10 or whatever like we were before, but to be able to do like a proper course and just feel him, he's so happy. He was very speedy yesterday, my goodness. Whew. I had a bit of a workout, a bit of an arm workout, but no, he is a keen bean. He is very happy. But yeah, the main thing is that Joey's fully healed. He's so happy to be back out on the field. That was another thing people asked, what's Joey like being out in the field? Because at first he was a little bit nervy. We kind of got him into a routine of going out. Being next to Casper also really helped, having lots of food. What we would do also that really helped was putting Mickey and Duke's haylage in their paddock near where Joey is. So Joey kind of felt like he had more of a herd around him, rather than up in like the pine forest kind of area. Normally we kind of tie it to a hay net on like one of the pine trees. But no, Joey is doing so well now. He's back in his routine because, horses are creatures of habit. They love their routine. So yeah, that is pretty much the Joey update complete. I've probably been rambling on for way too long again. So thank you very much for listening to today's podcast. Please rate it, share it, and do all the podcasty things. I also love, so many of you have been tagging me on my socials and things, like pictures of you, where you are, what you're doing while you're listening to the podcast. If you're, cooking your dinner, or you're on your commute and you're driving up somewhere listening to it, or you're on the train or the bus or that kind of thing. So, or if you're going for a hack with your horse, grooming, tack cleaning. I love hearing what you guys get up to. But anyway, thank you so much for watching, or listening actually. This is a podcast. I'm so used to filming videos. But anyway, thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!